This is part 2 of the JV6 swap. So we received a bunch of parts from Honda and Acura because apparently you can't get all the parts from Honda nor all from Acura. So we've got ourselves a power steering pump, a pulley, got ourselves the bolts for the alternator, so those are mounted up now. This obviously is going to be tensioned after I get a belt for it. I have modified the cover to where it looks nice on here. I'm not sure this is going to work with the way the harness has been loomed because the end tank of the intake sits here. We'll revisit that. The injectors, we sent them off to a specialty clinic that is going to rebuild them since they were measuring so different. We actually ended up cleaning them a little bit longer, and they came out to 3 different flow rates that were very different. I received the switch and the sensor for coolant. These guys, they are mounted up. This is on here. This is for coolant to go around that way. And let's see, mounted up the exhaust manifolds. This one I haven't torqued down yet because I'm waiting to hear back if this is supposed to be unthreaded. If not, they need to send me another one. And then we're going to have to make a wire for the alternator since it's not integrated to the harness. No big deal. Customer has come by and dropped off the Y pipe. It has a flex joint. Should make our life just a little bit easier. And then of course over here we have the monstrous subframe and the gigantic adapter plate. Today my objective is going to be to get this mounted up and the clutch assembly. Oh, I also received this, the throttle body gasket. I did have to pull some bolts out from my shelf. I still may get some different ones. I didn't like how these just barely went in here. I'm gonna have to get some all thread ones because I'd prefer to have more thread engagement. And then the last detail is I went in and I removed out the variable intake flappers. So those are over here, just a couple of bolts, and then it pulled out. So when I talked to my welder buddy, we're going to end up whacking this, welding that closed, and then probably just putting a little something across here as well to close that up. And that's all for the immediate. Moving right along here, I've removed the adapter plate off of the subframe here, and I have affixed the motor sitting on top of some strategically placed wood blocks to allow it to not sit on the oil pan, but also not block me from installing the adapter plate here. So I've installed a new rear main seal. I had to extract one of the dowels out of the back of the motor because there's one included with this big adapter plate. There were no torque specs given for any of the stuff from Mini, so I'm using factory torque specs for these bolts holding the plate on. There are these two, and then 2 in the backside here. I need to torque those to 47 foot-pounds. No torque spec given for these. I'm just going to go by standard sizing and the bolt grade on these, and I'll get myself a spec for those. Meanwhile, I just ran them down since they are lock nuts. The starter is protruding out this way, so again, making it difficult for this thing to sit here on the ground. And then the next part is going to be an adventure. So these are custom made studs or bolts that hold on the adapter for the flywheel, right? They say put anti-seize down the shank of them using your Loctite. Using your anti-seize, the opposite of Loctite, and then putting some Loctite on the tip. So I've already done a couple of these, getting it all over myself here. And I've only done it to the ones that actually fit into a socket. So it's a 19 millimeter 12 point, but looks like I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work to make these fit. Hey, look, that one kind of fits. But yeah, some of these just, there's no hope. So I'm gonna have to get in there and cut them down a little bit, I guess. Over here at the grinder wheel, figured out a decent technique to get these things fitting. It's a nice tight fit now, barely any play. So I got my wheel over here and I'm just rolling it into the groove right on the corner. I'm rolling it right into there. Yeah, that's all of them. Let's check. And it fits. On to the next one. So we're back over here at the motor. I've torqued down the bolts around the outside to 47, and I've now cleaned all these guys up. As you can see, they've been cut up, and they are a really tight fit on here now, which is nice. Now I'm going to torque the rest of these down. So I've torqued the 4 down already to 54. That's the OEM spec. And I'm gonna get the other ones in there now. Dab a red Loctite on the tip, and then cover the shank with anti-seize per the instructions. Flywheel is included in the kit. And always counter your crank to make sure it doesn't go anywhere when you're torquing your flywheel. Okay, I've torqued all these down probably a dozen times because they kept on, moving more. I went to go install this clutch assembly with the, the pressure plate, and the first two positions I attempted on this don't line up. So these must be match drilled holes. So I guess as you receive it, make sure you mark your orientation to save yourself some time. But if you rotate this over, you'll notice that those holes don't line up anymore. Yeah, no dice. This one might line up for now, but when I put it here, that bolt hole's not even there. And then of course it doesn't line up. But in the one correct position, it fits. So I guess your pressure plate is effectively keyed. Okay, so just went in with my cutoff wheel, whacked this off of here. It's kind of rough. Went back with the flapper wheel and smoothed this out a little bit better so this guy can fit onto here. Yeah. My welder buddy's over here today. He's gonna take care of welding this guy up. And then I'm just gonna make a block off plate for that back piece. And then this is good. Customer just dropped the car off a little bit ago. And then we're gonna be able to start installing after I get everything apart.